The Hoka Speedgoat 7 and the Salomon Ultra Glide 4 are two of the most popular shoes within each range. However, there's 7 key differences between them, whether you like to use them for hiking, trail running, or at the end of the video I'll touch on how they differ for medical conditions. So first of all, let's have a look at the Speedgoat 7. It has 37mm in the rear foot, 32 in the forefoot, giving you a 5mm drop. However, we've got a 6mm drop in the Salomon, with 41 in the rear foot, 35 in the forefoot. So as you'd expect, a slightly chunkier shoe in the Ultra Glide 4, and as a result it's heavier, coming in at 280 versus 272 grams in a size 9 men's US. So more cushioning and a different feel underfoot in the Ultra Glide. So we have Optifoam EVA, whereas in the Speedgoat 7 we had a complete upgrade, and now we have a supercritical EVA foam in there, which means that it feels very different underfoot. So it is now very springy, very bouncy, very energetic. It's complemented by a relatively aggressive forefoot rocker that helps to propel you forward, especially when you're running or walking on the flat surfaces. It's even more aggressive in the Ultra Glide 4, so you can see how much sharper it increases, and that increases the amount of toe spring. So that's where your toes are held extended within the shoe. It helps with the push-off phase of the gait cycle, but not ideal for those of you with sensitivity in the ball of the foot. I'll touch on that a little bit later. But the Optifoam within the Ultra Glide 4, it's a little bit firmer underfoot initially, but then when you break it in, it's a little bit softer and a little bit bouncier. It doesn't have the same bounce or spring as what we get in the Speedgoat 7, however it has some other qualities that we'll touch on. But underneath the shoes, we've different outsoles. So in the Speedgoat 7, we have Vibram Megagrip, which is one of the best forms of grip on the market, and it's complemented by an aggressive 5mm lug. Then we have the Contragrip, which is Salomon's grip, and underneath we have 4mm lugs, so 1mm shorter and not as aggressive, and that will mean that the Salomon isn't as good on technical terrain or on deep mud. As part of that, the geometry and the design of the shoe in the Speedgoat 7 make it just a little bit more nimble underfoot, giving you better traction in those deeper muds and on those very technical terrains. Neither shoe has a rock plate in it, however we've got a relatively flexible forefoot in the Salomon, but a very rigid forefoot in the Speedgoat 7, so there's hardly any flex in there, but still no plate, so you're getting lots of protection underfoot despite there being less cushioning than what we get in the Salomon. And as we move up on top of the shoe, the stability features are different in these shoes as well. So we've got some small sidewalls on the outside and the inside of the Speedgoat 7. They come up, wrap around your heel, try to control pronation moments. But they're nowhere near as significant as the large sidewalls that we have on the Salomon on the outside and the inside. As a result, it cradles your ankle a little bit more, making it very stable for a max cushion shoe. Both of them have equally broad heels and forefoots, increase the amount of contact that you have with the ground, slightly more sole flare in the Speedgoat 7, just to make it a bit more stable when you go to push off. The downside of having that extra sole flare is that it's more tapered in the toe box. Now granted, it's slightly wider than what we saw in the Speedgoat 6, but it still tapers too much for my liking if you want your toes to splay or even just have a natural feel. It's also a little bit snug but still wider in the Salomon, however both of these shoes do come in a wide version for those of you who need it. Both have a great lockdown on top. Personally I prefer the quick lace system on the Ultra Glide, gives you a nice even lockdown very quickly, so it's a very smooth transition to put on the shoe, and we've got equal depth on the heel cups on both shoes, with a bit more flexibility in the heel cup on the Salomon. So with all that in mind, how do these shoes function? Well, as hiking shoes, if you're looking for a max comfort all-day hiking shoe, I think the Salomon's going to do a better job for you here. You're getting more cushioning underneath your foot for those longer days, helping to absorb that vibration. Now the only downside is that more aggressive forefoot rocker, but otherwise you've got a broad platform, good space inside the shoe with a wide option available, and it's a really enjoyable shoe to wear for longer periods of time. The Speedgoat 7 is naturally a bit more aggressive. It can handle those terrains with deeper mud or more technical routes. However, it is really designed more as a running shoe than a hiking shoe. So when it comes to trail running, where the Speedgoat 7 thrives is on those technical runs, on those steep descents, because you're getting a tremendous lockdown on top of the shoe, but you're also getting lots of grip underfoot, whether you're on wet rocks or in deep mud. It can be used for those faster workouts, faster racing, and it can even be used for longer distance running as well. My only caveat to it is that toe box. The Ultra Glide 4 was actually really surprising because the more I ran in it, the more bouncy and energetic it became. Now granted, it's not the same as the supercritical foam in the Speedgoat 7, but On its own, it is a really fun shoe to run in. I could turn over relatively quickly, but for those faster workouts, I don't think it's going to do as well as the Speedgoat 7. And then when we think about their use cases medically, well, the toe boxes on both of these shoes aren't ideal if you've got Morton's neuroma. If you have a stiffer big toe and you need a little bit more protection and you like the Speedgoat 7, that's probably going to work better, but the toe box still isn't ideal. If you've got sensitivity around the heel, like plantar fasciitis, then you're going to enjoy the Ultra Glide 4 a little bit more because you're just getting a bit more padding underneath your heel. Otherwise, they're two excellent options. But let me know your thoughts in the description below. Which one would you pick up? And there's links to them if you want to check out the latest price on Amazon. And as always, if you're new to the channel or you watch regularly but you haven't subscribed, please do, as a single thing you can do for free that makes the biggest difference to the channel.